Hi, Michal. We are very happy to have you here with us today. And congratulations again for winning the second silver medal in the Grand Prix this season,
Thank you.
and also for qualifying for the ISU Grand Prix final.
Hopefully.
Yes, well, mostly 2 places is enough.
Yeah.
I think in
We'll see how
seniors
the math with
turns
the
out.
placements turns out, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Yeah.
So, how do you feel about that start of the season for you?
I feel pretty good. It was a little slow start with the first competition in Salt Lake City, but um, I think I built up from there pretty well, and I think it's so far it's probably one of the best seasons I had. I think maybe even in my career. So I'm pretty happy about that.
And your performances, you have taken a step up from Skate America.
Yeah, there was no mistake in the short. The short was basically clean, which was great. And in the long, there was one big mistake, but I think the rest of the program was much better than from the last competition. So overall, I'm actually really happy with how the competition went.
You qualified most likely for the final again. So, what does it mean to you? Because you've been to it before, but it's a while ago.
Yeah, the first time I went was actually 7 years ago, and funny enough, it was in Canada as well. It was in Quebec City at that time, and this year it's in Vancouver. So it's actually one of my favorite cities because I went to the Olympics there, my first Olympics. So um, if I make it, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna try to use that the emotion and the feeling that I have saved in my body from the Olympics, and hopefully I can keep on rolling as it goes right now, and keep my form until the final.
Yet, if you look back, so last season and some previous seasons, you were struggling sometimes. So, what has changed this year? Why did you come back so strong?
Uh, it's probably because of my coach, because he he pushed me to no limits, and he also told me that it'll take 2 years to get back, and I've been with him for 2.5 right now. So I didn't believe him at first, but I guess he has his math and his view of skating pretty well calculated. So it it really helped when I moved to Raphael, and everything that he changed in my, not even I would say jumps or anything like that, but basic skating and the understanding of what I'm actually doing on the ice. And I think another thing that helped a lot was that I started coaching in the summer, and so when I teach the little kids, it actually makes me think about what I'm doing in my own practice. So it helps a lot because then as I'm explaining it to them, I'm actually explaining it to myself as well. So I kind of stay in it, and it helps me. It helps me a lot to understand why I'm doing it, because I have to explain it to the kids why they're doing it. So it helps me understand as well.
And what did Raphael basically change in your skating?
Well, all the basics, basic skating, the understanding of where I'm supposed to be on my blade, where the weight goes and how you press into certain edges when you're going for jumps or when you're going for skating, and all of this really helped.
And what motivated you to carry on after the Olympic year?
Uh, Number of things, I would say. At first, I wasn't really sure that I still want to go, but then Raphael and my federation, they kind of convinced me to give it, one more or maybe 2 more years. So I'm giving it that one. We'll see how it goes from there. But um, my federation also asked me to keep going because they need somebody for the younger skaters to push them. And I know how that feels because when Tommy stopped skating, it was pretty hard for me to find the motivation and to find, something to push me forward. So when he stopped skating, I kind of fell asleep because I didn't really have a competition uh, in my country and even in the training base that I was in. And then when I moved to Raphael, it all changed because when I get on the ice for practice, there's competition all the time. And we push each other, the group that Raphael created and that we're, trying to push each other, and it just works really well.
You also said that kind of you have a life outside skating, and that also helps you to get a different perspective.
Yeah, because when I come home, we don't like to talk about skating. Like we will talk about it. My wife will always ask, "Well, how was your day?" And what did I do? How practice went? But that's about it. We don't really go to detail. So I don't have skating in my life 24 hours a day. I come home and I have other things to think about. Not only that, we have to think about paying bills for living and doing all of this grown-up stuff. So that also takes my mind off of skating because it's life. It's not just, oh, I have to be ready for tomorrow to be ready on the ice. It's you come home and there's bills you have to pay and things you have to get ready for, and spend some time with each other. So that, I think that helps a lot because it takes my mind off skating completely, and I have, once I leave the rink, I have a life outside of skating, and it makes it a lot easier to come back to the rink and actually be ready to work again because I'm not pressed down by my practices. If they don't go well, then if I don't have anything else, I come back the next day and I feel exactly as I left from the rink. So if practices were bad and I left the rink mad, I'm gonna come back the next day and I'm still gonna be mad if I don't have something else to take my mind off.
So it drags you down,
And then it drags you down, and then your whole training process just goes boom. But now it's different because I come home, I completely forget about it. Even when I leave the rink, I forget about it. That's one thing that probably helps a lot is California, because I leave the rink and it's sunny. It automatically puts a smile on my face, and it's a different way of spending your time, not just being in the rink.
But your wife Danielle is also a former skater.
Yeah, she is. She skated for Israel. She did pairs, and she knows what it takes to get ready for competitions and how much time it actually takes from your regular life. But we're trying to make the best of it, and she actually started. She moved to LA to me, and she started coaching. So hopefully she can pick up some more students because she's doing pretty well, and I think she likes being around skating, but I think she likes, working with kids that she can bring up, not exactly working with kids that already have everything and they don't really listen and stuff. That's my job.
How do you feel that marriage has changed your life?
I don't think it changed much. It definitely changed the way I look at, what we do and how we go about living in general. Because like I said, you come home and you have bills to pay and you have to make sure that we spend time with each other, and it's not just, in the rink or somewhere around skating. Because then you don't really have anything else to talk about but skating, and that's also not very healthy. So every time I get home, I always try to, change the subject, even though she likes asking me questions. But I always try to kind of keep the skating outside of our relationship, even though we're both figure skaters and we're most likely gonna stay in figure skating because we both really love teaching and we love helping kids. But every time I come home, I really don't want to have anything to do with skating. You know, I come home and I just want to relax and spend some time with her and just, you know, try to enjoy each other's company.
You are one of the older skaters, compare if you look like, but there are a few older skaters that are on the circuit, and like Alexei Butchenko, Sergei Voronov, some others. So how do the older skaters bond together or support each other?
It's kind of funny because as well as Skate America as well as here, I was there with Sergey and Alexei, and here it was just Alexei. Sergey wasn't here, but it was kind of funny because we always look at the younger kids as they're coming to the rink, you know, getting ready for their first practice, and we're watching them. We're like, yeah, we used to be like that too, and then once you get older, you find out that if you're not ready before you come to the competition, being all hyped up and you know, trying to show everybody that you're better than everyone else is not going to help you. You know, if you're ready, you come to competition, you do your job, that's all you can do. You know, there's nothing in between, you know. And I think it helps us, the older guys, especially with all these changes that happened in the programs and in the way that they look at the programs and everything. I think it helps the older skaters right now because it's very hard to put 5 or 6 quads into a 4-minute program, especially if you have to do the quads in less than a minute. Because if you really want to have some time to breathe, you really have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you have to go from one side to another. You guys see it on myself when I do my second part. All my 4 jumps are in 20 or 25 seconds. So I can't imagine all these guys trying to put 4 quads if they want to do it in the second half. Trying to put 4 quads in 20 seconds. That's almost impossible. That's why I think a lot of the younger guys that are trying to bring more into their program are not there yet, because it's a quite new change and it doesn't happen right away. You have to get used to it. So for guys like Nathan and Yuzu, I think it's a little bit different because they have done the quad so many times and in the second part of their program so many times that it's natural for them. But for a lot of the other ones, it's a little bit harder, I think, to get there. It will take some time, and it's even hard to do triple jumps in your second part, especially if you don't have time in between to breathe. Because I actually said that at the press conference when they asked me, like, when they took away the time and they took away one jump, 1 hour jumps take less than a second to do. If you do it from a couple of steps and you do the triple jump, it takes about less than 3 seconds to do with the entrance and everything. And they took away only 1 jump and took away 30 seconds. So they didn't take away the jump, they took away our time to breathe. And in order to put everything together and actually have some skating in between, you still need to do the transitions, need to do the choreography and everything, but at the same time you need to be able to really go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the second part of your program. So it's very challenging to do 4 jumps or 5 jumps in the second half if you don't have the time for it, and because you have to do everything else with it, because otherwise the competition program is just gonna be jumps. So I think it helps the older guys to actually pull back, you know, and maybe sometimes even do better than the younger guys that are trying all these crazy things.
Crazy things. Yeah. But you also do a quad, and you said you hope to do include the second quad then for.
Yeah, that was one thing that Raphael told me on the phone today. He said he wants me to get ready for the final to have two quads in the long. So
You said, yeah, you enjoy teaching, so probably you will in the future you will be coaching.
probably.
But you also launched your own design clothing, +5. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, so we kind of did that in the summer with my wife. We were kind of fortunate and unfortunate at the same time because we weren't sure if the +5 is gonna actually go through in the ISU rules. And at first we thought it would, it would be cool if it didn't, because then we could use it and use the name as kind of a different significance to what perfection is in skating. Because before it was +3, now it's +5, and in skating, if you get a +5 for something, it usually means that it was, in the eyes of the judges, it was perfect. And so when we did that, we were thinking about it a little bit, and then we thought, well, we don't want to use the same thing because not every judge sees perfection the same way. Not every skater sees perfection the same way. So we started asking everybody that kind of got involved and all the skaters that liked the idea. We started, asking them questions what their perfection is, what it means to them, because to us, perfection is not, it's not a destination. It's not something that you can always attain. It's more of your attitude towards what you're doing and what you think perfection can be, and what you think perfection can mean to you. So for us, it's an attitude. It's the way that you push yourself, you challenge yourself in practice, because everybody's vision of perfection is different. Everybody has a different style of skating. Everybody has a different style of jumps, and not every single skater looks the same on the ice. Everybody's different. So we always try to ask everybody who we come in contact with to tell us what their perfection is, what they think that it means to them, and what they think that will take them to attain that perfection, and how to, sometimes get better. Because what's perfect today is not going to be perfect tomorrow. So there's always a way to step up. Even something as perfection is, there you can always be better than yourself. You can always be better than you were yesterday. So we're trying to look at it in this way, rather than just the way you look at, like, clothes, because you can go to Adidas, you can go to Nike, you can go to Lululemon, you can buy whatever you want, but it's, at that point, it's just training clothes. You don't get any idea of what you're actually doing when you get on the ice and when you're training yourself. So when I get on the ice with my training shirt that says +5, I actually think more about what I have to do to, be able to actually wear that +5, because it pushes me in practice. Because then I question myself and I ask myself, did I do everything in my power to attain perfection today? Was my practice, was my attitude towards practice enough so that my coach would think that all my elements were, +5 today? And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, or a lot of the skaters, I think they will start understanding once they actually come in contact with everything. Because we're also trying to find things that will work for the skaters on the ice, because it's mainly we're trying to mainly do things for guys, because for girls there's a lot of companies that do skating clothes, but for guys there's not that much. And especially if you're doing training clothes, there's always a little bit of techie going into it, because we try to talk to all the skaters that are in our rink, and we try to figure out what kind of materials they like, what works for them on the ice, what doesn't work for them on the ice, what they would like more in the material, what they would like less in the material, how they would like the form of all the stuff that we make. And that also takes some time, and it also takes perfection to perfect it. So it's all connected through that meaning of what +5 means to people.
Yeah, it's very interesting philosophy
Yeah.
that comes with it. And so it's because I know you always was interested in design. So do you do the design?
I try to. I don't really have that much time right now because I'm getting ready for all the competitions. But in the free time that I have, I always try to help her because right now she's basically the one running the company, trying to get all the people in contact with us, and everybody who emails us or messages us from the skaters. She's the one communicating with them and trying to talk to them, and then she just gives me stuff and I bring it to competition and give it to people. So I'm more of a messenger right now than anything else, but we're working together on the training clothes that we have in progress right now, and it's not that much of a crazy design as I was used to. It's a little bit more subtle, because a lot of the skaters, they just like simple things. So there's like little details, because I always look at little things that I like, like somewhere on the shirt we just want to put a plus, and somewhere on the shirt we want to put a 5, just so it kind of intertwines with everything. It doesn't have to be a giant +5 on the chest, so it's like little details that we're trying to incorporate in the design of the training stuff.
Okay, so thank you very much. We wish
Thank
you
you.
much success for the rest of the season,
Thank you.
and also for your company +5.
Thank you.